Hi, RHET 101. I want to very, very quickly give you a couple of my thoughts about these two sample essays that we graded. I thought we would have time to do this in class, so I'm just going to go so fast, assuming you've read the essays, assuming you know a few things about them. You can see that I've pre-highlighted, and these highlight colors have to do with the different scores on the rubric. So I'm going to try to actually give it a score right now. These aren't necessarily the scores that these students actually got. I promised them I wouldn't share their real scores. This is just my thinking today. So yellow is idea score. I love that James gets us thinking about his title right away. Not just his title, gets us thinking about kind of like the deeper issues, how there's this like tension between who he is and what he can do. To me, that bumps his ideas score up because the ideas score, if we look over the rubric, is about insightful and intriguing observations. And to me, that idea of here's who I am and here's what I can do is inherently intriguing. I actually want to give his ideas pretty high score in general. I'm kind of just going through and looking for other yellow places. I did think towards the end perhaps his ideas got a little bit worse because, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I wondered if this was a little too simple down here. I'm way down on page 4. I guess I wish I knew a little bit more why he was too much in his head and didn't care anymore. And even at the end, there's another place where he's like, I no longer want to push away my culture. And I know he was getting long. I know it was 5 pages long, but I was kind of like, I wish I heard more. So to me, it felt like it started really in depth and complicated, and at the end, he just kind of fell for simplicities. So I would say your ideas is like somewhere in the B's. It's some kind of B. Let's be nice and give him like an 88, B plus, kind of saying, yeah, for most of this essay you were doing well, but it kind of fell apart a little bit towards the end. If we go back and look at the wait, what color is organization? Organization and stuff is green. Where did I do anything in green? I love how he's got this sense of like dramatically ending a paragraph, especially in your intro paragraph. He's thinking a lot about the rhythm. He's thinking a lot about kind of like drop the mic moments. Bam! To me, that helps your organization grade. I also like how he has a very clear switch of like, all right, here's kind of this intro stuff I've got to get your attention, and then let me give you some background. I entered the public education system. Very clear marker at the beginning of a paragraph about what he wanted to do, and then a very clear marker about the scene he's about to dive into. One day this specifically happened. I thought this was kind of the worst moment of organization because if you go back and look at it later, it kind of starts on one topic, and then all of a sudden it's like, that fall I had Mrs. Page. I'm like, I thought we were talking about this conversation you had. All of a sudden we're at this fall. I get it, but I still felt a little awkward. Like maybe a transition, maybe splitting that paragraph up. And then by the end, I don't think I highlighted anything down here. By the end, I think even though it's perhaps a little simplistic, he is thinking about trying to wrap this up. So overall, I would say his organization score is better, except for that one place. I felt like I knew where I was going. I liked the intro. I liked the conclusion. I liked the transitions. So let's give him, again, let's be nice, lean high, straight up A, 95. That's what an A equals to me. If it was like A plus, amazing, you're so good, we could go higher, but 95 is a pretty standard A. Okay, what about his sentence style? Remember, that includes both, if we go here, that includes both correctness, but it also includes how awesome your sentences are in other ways. You can go read that yourself. I would say that there's some great style, but in a decreasing attention to correctness. So for instance, I mark him up on style here. I love this first sentence being, it must be nice being able to. I love when a first sentence or the first or last sentence of a paragraph is stylistically interesting. Does that make sense? I think it's interesting how he kind of breaks the typical academic rule by speaking straight to us, using the second voice here. Hey, imagine. He's using his style to get us in and to bring us in. And I personally like that. I'm up for a little breaking of rules when it feels good, and yet there are some technical problems. He isn't quite very good yet at getting into a quote. I'm using punctuation and capitals there. I also think he's occasionally missing commas. Like I think you need like at the end of the day, this is what I want. Something like that. Because otherwise, I read it. I was like, at the end of the day, this. What? So using some punctuation to clarify. And again, as it goes on, I didn't mark all of these. I think it just gets a little sloppier. And yet, I like so much about his style. So I think the highest he could go for style is like an 88. I think I even want to go a little lower because there's quite a few little grammatical comma mistakes that I think he could really do better at. The format we haven't talked much about. On the literacy narrative assignment, there is a couple of links here about how to set things up with MLA. I give you like a link to the MLA page showing you this type of stuff. That's what I mean by format. Honestly, for his, I would say it's almost perfect, except he did flip these around. You're technically supposed to put your name, then your professor's name, then the class. There are people who will tell you that you have to write it dates like this, 2020. Personally, I'll say I don't care. I think in the U.S. we kind of accept multiple ways of writing dates. That's not going to affect your grade. But you notice he has the page numbers up there, last name, and then on the next name it's last name too. He knows how to do that. He got his title in. It's correct. The whole thing's double spaced. The margins are right. So I'm just going to dock him the teensiest bit for that. So let's give him a 95 for format. So all that together, I think we've decided, oh, he's so close. He's like the closest B+, the B plus a C plus that he could ever be. Okay, I know this is getting long. Let me go do the same thing with Nia, just in case you're curious, in case you're like, how did she do? I just really want to know. Okay, same thing. Here she is. Let's just go through it in order this time without kind of back and forthing to make it go faster. The biggest problem with her format is that she does not include a title. She totally forgot. To me, that is a bigger deal than the flippity of these two things that James did. So I want to give her format a lower than a 95. Let's give her something like a 90. She did a lot of things right, but you gotta have a title. Come on. You're so stupid as the second thing, so that's organization. I love the idea of starting paragraphs with mic drops, like I said. The second organization thing here is because, like James, she's very clearly showing me what kind of section we're in. She's drawing our attention to specific times. That brings your organization up. These are two of Nia's contrasting strengths and issues with the style grade. Kind of like James, she is good at details and images and things like long fingers wrapped around the large. I love that. And yet, notice the lack of comma here. And a mixture of range and annoyance sending. Right? Don't we need that in annoyance? Sending, we can even like put a dash there if we want. Sending, there's so many things we could do, but just like bam, zooming into it hurts her style grade. So we're kind of got a tension there. Her ideas, this really interesting point, I thought that it was never bad enough to do anything about it. Part of me was like, oh, that's so sad. And the part of me was like, but wait a minute, you had to go to a special room and read out loud with the teacher. So did something happen or not? If I do feel like there are like little inconsistencies or contradictions, which I'm not sure if that is one or not, it kind of feels like it, that does hurt your ideas grade. It's kind of like, well, you've got some ideas here that don't quite seem to make sense together. You're not clarifying for me how these actually do fit together if they do. So it's a little bit of a down on the ideas. One thing you may have noticed Nia doing constantly is that she has this, she has the problem that I would say most writers have, including really good writers, like my wife does this all the time. She's got a comma splice. She's got the sentence that should end here, and then another sentence that keeps going. There are a lot of ways to fix those. The typical ones are like you literally just like start a new sentence, you semicolon that sucker, you comma conjunction, comma and. Any of those are okay, but just a comma alone, it's like, it's not strong enough to tie these together. She does this a lot. It hurts her style grade for sure. Now this for me is where the idea score starts going up. I really am interested in this idea that something she loves, but she just wasn't very good at it. To me, that's like, is that a contradiction? But it's not. It's a seeming contradiction that is true for her life. To me, this idea of how do people who love something that they're not good at get treated in society? Whew, that gives me chills. So that helps her idea score for me a good deal. Again, we've got a great organization moment, a really clear, this is when we're talking about. She's zooming into her first of two big scenes that she then spreads out. This is an interesting moment here. This is, I highlight it with ideas. You could also call it organization, because she's really starting to say, she's hinting at where she's going to go. By the end of her essay, we know that this is an essay about standing up for yourself. This is an essay about no one has the right to take this stuff from me, and she's going to come back to that. So in some ways, I think it's good. She's letting us know what's going to come a little bit. In some ways, you might say it's organizationally problematic. She doesn't say, like for instance, a theme that would continue throughout my life, which I think would kind of help us see what she's doing and not just kind of zoom kind of quickly by it. Oops, I'm all over the place. So I would say ultimately that helps her ideas grade, but maybe it hurts her org grade a little. Again, we've got a super clear organization grade score because of this, but then we've got kind of a sentence that doesn't make sense next to each other. Like I read this one, and then I read this one, and I'm like, okay, are these the same topic? Should this even be in the same fence? I don't know. I love organizational moments like this. I soon realized it was wrong. This is like Rebel music. She's building the tension. She's using a short paragraph to get us into her second scene. And we know now this is the big second scene, the one that started the whole essay. I think it's a little weird that she like literally verbatim copies and pastes the same scene. I don't know, but I like the idea. Another one of those comma splices, one of many. And really down here at the bottom of 4 is where we start to get into her main topic again, like I said was coming. Kind of like we start asking ourselves, man, this context, having no one around to help you and the dyslexia, those contexts make it really hard to have the literacy that she's trying to gain. So I love that she's drawing attention to that. And I really do like her final paragraph, how it does all pull together, again, with a very clear time stamp and really a really clear like standing up for herself again. So clear that she like uses the stylistic repetition, slaughter, slaughter, slaughter. I've heard some people say that's too much, too emotional. Maybe it is. I guess I'd rather see you give it a shot and go too far than hold back and be boring. Okay, what do we do with Nia then? I'm going to say her ideas overall, but except for just like a little bit of contradiction at the beginning, are pretty right on. She is definitely talking about a literacy that was affected by a context. Let's give her a 98. Come on, let's be nice here. Organization, remember I mostly liked it. She used a great intro, a great conclusion, great timestamps. Just had that one paragraph that was a little iffy there. Let's say that was a little more important. So we'll give her a 95. No, let's give her a 98. Come on, let's be nice. Style, I would say her grammatical mistakes are more than James's, and I would say that her attempts at stylistic awesomeness and fun and grace and dynamicism is a little less than James too. Now, don't get me wrong. I like her style a lot. I don't think it's any kind of C, for goodness sakes, but I want to give her at least an 85 and maybe even an 83. So you see how that works out. Even with the lower format score, even with the lower style score, because of that really high ideas, she ends up getting an A minus. James adds up to a B plus, almost an A minus. Okay, did you buy that? Do you believe it? Do you want to fight back and argue with me? Well, if so, get on Discord. Tell me that I'm wrong. Okay, see you later. Bye.